owes my family an apology. More so because a lot of times he'll have this perspective of, it was a joke, or I was trying to be funny, and it did not land at all.
All right, let's break this down. When Kimmy's brother finally opened his mouth, it wasn't just a little bit of gossip, it was everything. All the truth came pouring out. And what he said about Maurice. No one was ready for that. People always saw Maurice as the guy who had it together, calm, composed, collected. He looked like the one who never lost control. But the thing about people who always seem cool and steady? Sometimes they're hiding the biggest mess. Kimmy's brother Jalen was done pretending. He'd watched enough. After seeing everything Kimmy went through, especially during her fight with cancer, he just couldn't stay silent anymore. And what he shared? It pulled back the curtain on a truth many people missed. While Maurice showed up physically, Jalen said he was emotionally checked out. Present in body, but not really there. And this time, instead of ignoring it or keeping quiet, Jalen spoke up and he didn't hold back. He told Maurice straight up, "You let Kimmy down." Not just as a husband, but as her partner. And you could feel the weight of those words. While Kimmy was battling for her life, Maurice was too focused on looking strong. Instead of being the rock she needed, he played the part. And the most surprising thing? Kimmy didn't defend him. She didn't jump in or stop her brother from speaking. She just sat there calm, still, quiet. That silence said everything.
Hi everybody, I'm Kimmy, and I am on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And it's been a wonderful opportunity. It was unforeseen. It was something none of us ever sought out. We were legitimately friends that hung out trying to do some things for the more disenfranchised portion of our town. And I like that similarity even in the Bell Collective when they first started as well, was in regards to some of rebuilding some of the portions of town that are meaningful to us. And so we've been able to do that. This platform has afforded us a lot of opportunity to reach out to people. I agree with Marie in the fact that the show has something for everybody. You know, I don't have to be your favorite. I can be, but I don't have to be.
That moment wasn't just a family argument, it was years of pain and frustration finally breaking through. And let's be real, a lot of fans had already sensed something was off. Maurice came across as supportive on the outside, but when it really counted, it seemed like he wasn't showing up in the way Kimmy needed. Let's go back for a second. When Kimmy and Maurice first appeared on Love and Marriage, they seemed like a power couple, strong, united, in love. But now it's becoming clear that what we saw might have only been surface level. And then comes Jalen. He's not one of the loud, in-your-face cast members. He's not chasing cameras. He's quiet, steady, observant. And that's exactly why his voice mattered so much when he finally spoke. Jalen's always been in the background, but he was paying attention. He saw the little things, how Maurice avoided tough emotional talks, how Kimmy always tried to keep the peace even when she was hurting. And if you know Kimmy, you know she's not dramatic. She doesn't wear her pain on her sleeve. She keeps it in, handles things with grace. But her family? They see the cracks. Jalen saw her strength, yes, but he also saw when that strength turned into quiet suffering.
A lot that you guys didn't see. However, in the moment that I acted, I was acting to protect the situation, protect my brother from further harm.
And here's the thing about people like Jalen, they don't talk much, but when they finally do, they shake the room. For years, he watched Kimmy put others before herself. Then came the cancer diagnosis. Suddenly, the one who always held it together needed someone to hold her. And that should have been Maurice's moment to step up, not with big words, but with emotional presence. But that's not what happened. Jalen said Maurice was around, but distant. Sure, he showed up to some doctor's appointments, but the emotional load? Kimmy carried that alone. It all came to a head during what seemed to be a family talk, maybe an honest, no-holds-barred moment. Jalen looked Maurice in the eye and said, "You don't see what she's going through because you're too busy pretending everything's fine. You're trying to fix it with logic, but she just needs you to feel it with her." And that hit hard. Because how many times have we seen this? Where the person who's supposed to be your emotional support is so caught up trying to be strong that they miss the fact that you're falling apart inside. Jalen was done watching his sister carry the emotional weight of the entire relationship, especially while she was sick. He was tired of Maurice's polished act.
I wanted to make sure that no one is misled by this information. First of all, my name is Maurice Scott. Maurice Jefferson Scott, Sr. And if you're gonna do research on a Maurice Scott, make sure that you're researching the right person.
Tired of him using logic as a shield instead of opening up emotionally. Jalen pointed out that even when Kimmy was the one in pain, she still had to comfort Maurice. She was the one holding the family together, even when she needed someone to hold her. And if you go back and watch those scenes from the show, you'll see it. Kimmy would open up about her fears, and Maurice would brush it off or give some overly rational response. He rarely just sat with her in her feelings. That's what Jalen wanted people to see. He wasn't trying to embarrass Maurice. He was trying to protect his sister. He was saying, she went through hell, and you acted like everything was normal.
Saying that this is all the reason, but True T has really done an amazing thing for Miss Black Titanic, and I appreciate that. And it's always good to see creators supporting other creators. But child, y'all go over there and listen to this, because this right here is the clown of the year, baby.
The moment that really shook people? When Jalen spoke, all eyes went to Kimmy. Everyone expected her to stop him, to defend Maurice, to say, that's enough. But she didn't. She just let it all happen. That told people everything they needed to know. Kimmy has always been the calm one, the peacemaker. But this time, she didn't interrupt. And that silence said more than words ever could. She didn't look angry. She didn't look surprised. If anything, she looked relieved. Like someone had finally said the truth out loud so she didn't have to keep pretending. Her body language was still. It was like she had already accepted this reality, and didn't have the strength to keep hiding it. And honestly, that hit home for a lot of people. Because sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's what happens when you've been carrying too much for too long. And then something nobody expected happened. Maurice broke. He didn't argue, didn't get defensive, didn't blame anyone. He just let go. He admitted that he didn't know how to be vulnerable. That he thought being strong meant keeping a straight face and locking his emotions away. He believed showing weakness would only make things worse. But it didn't help, it hurt. And in trying to look strong, he left Kimmy feeling completely alone. That moment changed the tone. It wasn't about pointing fingers anymore, it was about finally facing the truth. Some fans were moved. They saw this as a turning point. One person commented, it took him long enough, but at least he owned it. Kimmy deserved more, but maybe now there's hope. Another added, it takes a lot for a man to admit he failed emotionally. That's big. But he better follow it up with real change. Still, others weren't convinced. They felt it was too little, too late. Many pointed out how Kimmy had to stay strong through everything, while Maurice seemed disconnected. They questioned if this emotional moment came from real growth or just pressure from being called out on camera. But beyond just Maurice and Kimmy, this moment hit deeper. It spoke to something many people understand: how men are often taught to bottle up feelings, how being strong often means being emotionally absent, and how that leaves women carrying the emotional burden alone, especially during life's hardest seasons. So now the big question is, what does Kimmy do next? After carrying so much, after holding it all together for so long, does she give him another chance now that he's finally starting to see the truth? Or does she choose peace and walk away? Because here's the thing, love isn't just about staying. It's about feeling seen, supported, safe. And Kimmy deserves that without having to beg for it. For once, the pressure isn't on her to keep everything together. Her brother stood up, and in doing so, gave her permission to let go if that's what she needs. And that's powerful. And now, Here we are at the point where everything's been said, all the emotions have been laid bare, and the truth that's been buried for years has finally surfaced. Kimmy's journey hasn't been easy. She's been the one holding everyone else up, even while her own world was falling apart. She showed strength when most people would have crumbled. And she did it with grace, with dignity, without asking for much in return. But now? The weight of that silence, that emotional labor, it's finally been acknowledged. And not just by her brother, but by the man who should have been there from the very beginning. Maurice breaking down wasn't just about guilt, it was about finally understanding the pain he had ignored for far too long. He admitted his flaws. He said the words that Kimmy likely waited years to hear. But here's the thing, now that he's finally opened up, what happens next? Because apologies are important, but they don't erase the years of emotional loneliness. Tears might show regret, but real change is what proves love. And for Kimmy, who carried that marriage on her back emotionally, mentally, even physically, this might be the first time she truly has the space to breathe, to choose herself, and to ask the question, do I still want to be here? Her brother didn't just speak up to call Maurice out, he spoke to remind Kimmy that she doesn't have to do it all alone anymore. That moment wasn't about drama or confrontation, it was about liberation. It was about letting Kimmy know that she deserves support, not just survival. She deserves a partner who sees her, hears her, and shows up in the ways that matter most. And honestly, it's not just about Kimmy. So many women watching this episode saw themselves in her story. The silent strength. The emotional caregiving. The constant need to hold things together while your own heart is breaking. This was bigger than a marriage, it was about what happens when someone finally says, you don't have to carry this anymore. So now, the question isn't about Maurice anymore. It's not even about whether he meant his apology. It's about Kimmy. What does she want? What does healing look like for her? Does she try again with a man who finally seems to get it, or does she walk away and choose peace over pressure? And that's what I want to hear from y'all. If you were in Kimmy's shoes after everything, what would you do? Would you give love another shot, or would you finally put yourself first? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a real conversation. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because we've got more truth, more heart, and more real talk coming your way. See y'all in the next one.